poet is a human with the philosopher Dunamis on this week's episode number 26, Fight for Fitness. Please be sure to hit that like button on your way in. And if you like us, consider subscribing to keep up with our episodes on YouTube and give us a follow on X.
Fightcast is here to empower individuals to live healthier, master finances, pursue their dreams, and inspire others through self-awareness and global impact. As always, this is for entertainment and educational purposes only, and not financial advice.
Dunamis, salutations.
Salutations, Izzy Human. How are you doing this week, man?
I have been on vacation again. You guys are probably thinking, am I ever not on vacation? The answer is no. My life is a vacation, but I'm in Mississippi visiting my grandmother, and it's been beautiful, y'all. Every time I hit the roads and make my way down south, it's always a good reset button for me every time, and I always come back with a lot more energy and a clearer mind to execute things. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great, man. I will say that there's always a distinct difference. I think when you're down in Mississippi, I can hear it in your mood. It feels a little lighter, and I don't know if it's just the South. Have you guys gotten any rain here recently? How's the weather in Mississippi right now?
I've gotten a lot of rain down here, and the rain has been a lot of the reason why I've been so calm. I was able to undergo catharsis one morning while it was raining, and it in the moment, of course, it's always the moment, and after the fact, I've just felt a lot lighter. I felt like there was a weight that was lifted from me, and it's been beautiful to sit out here on this front porch and just watch it. The wind hasn't been blowing side to side, so it's just been coming straight down, and I've been able to sit out here with my grandma, with my aunt, and we've been able to just watch the rain. So this time it's been different. The last time it was very warm and really hit hard into the fitness, which is what we're going to be talking about. And this time it's been a lot more metacognition, meditation, and just more exercises for self-actualization.
Yeah. The fitness that we talk about is so much more than just our physical fitness, right? When we change up our environment sometimes, it can help to really break up some areas in our mental fitness that maybe haven't been firing correctly. You're always talking, Izzy Human, about the cycles that we get into, and loops, and how to break out of some of these loops, the ones that are maybe not as productive in our life as what we want to do. I think is create productive loops, ones that build us up. And so for myself, I've been on a journey here recently that's been there's journeys within journeys. So of course I've been on this planet for 46 years, and I've got that journey that I'm on. But within that journey, I've had different people come and go from my life. I've had children. We talk a lot about how we're on this path and we have this purpose. And so the fitness, I think, is one of the things that we need to help us to weather life's storms, and when the road goes one direction or another direction. As I was on my walk today, and we were even talking about the connection between mental fitness and physical fitness. I think if you're eating right and your body is well, it makes it easier to overcome psychological problems.
Yeah, I agree with you. And me being Mr. Esoteric, I am always one to start with mine with anything, because in order to let's look into the word fitness itself and what it actually means, because it's an embodiment of different things. We could start as vast as your cardiovascular health, and, we can get down to your agile mobility, and more importantly, your mental health too, and your mental fitness, the exercise. In order for you to get out of bed and go work out, you have to want to get out of bed, and that's willpower, and that's strength, and you're exercising your mind, you're building a routine within. So I want to say, even as just like this could be a beginner's manual You're wanting to be a better you. You talk about it all the time, or we talk about it all the time. So what's stopping us? Ourselves. It's the easy answer. So we could say time, we could say this, and we could say all of these things, but all of those things are within your ecosystem, and those all involve you. So you are the person that is stopping yourself. There's no excuses. I don't like the branches. You know me, bro. I don't like the branches. I'm just more of a, if it's a tree, it's a tree. The tree just so happens to have branches, but it's also just a tree. Um, that's a big thing for me.
I like the analogy with trees and fruit. Obviously, there's so much that coincides with what the Bible has to say about these things. Even last week when we were talking about, things that we chase and masculine and feminine energies, and how it's better to let fruit, the good things in life should be a byproduct or just a side effect of you being a tree, right? If
Yeah.
you're a, if you're an apple tree, you should have apples, but it should just happen because you're planted in the right place, you have good roots, and you're photosynthesizing correctly, right?
Right. The science and yeah, the science and everything behind it, it all coincides. It all, the chakras are aligned in all elements of it. And I agree with that. I agree with that. And there has to be an alignment with you for all of these things to become action. There has to be an alignment. So, and I know that we're going to dig a little bit deeper into that, and just, fitness, and even just, some starter exercises and some moderate and maybe some advanced. I'd imagine we've got few more episodes in our pocket that are going to entail fitness. So I don't want to just throw it all away in one episode, but,
Of course not.
um,
Of course not.
Y- Yeah, I think for me, my main focus with you guys is, it's going to be a lot of the mental aspect of it, because, I know that that's the biggest barrier that a lot of us overcome or have to overcome. And first time I was down here in Mississippi, that was the thing, because I had been intermittently working out, back at home up north, and it was not consistent. And I was making the excuse that it was colder outside or it was raining, and knowing darn well I could go full on primal and layer number one and go out there and Rocky Balboa this thing in Russia, or I could go out there barefoot and 78-degree weather while it's raining and just get my feet a little dirty and just work out in different climates and build resilience. And that's another
Yeah.
thing too that we'll talk about, is the resilience, as well, because I feel that that comes with the restructuring of the mind, because you are building a resilience of just telling yourself that it has to be done because it's a part of your routine.
I can tell you, trying to take walks in the summertime in Texas, it's, yeah, you have to have resilience, or you have to have a strategy. If nothing else, you have to know that you take that walk before 10 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
The
Exactly.
I think the mental thing is really key, and the fact that you've mentioned the chakras, the spiritual energy, the physical energy, the mental energy. We are a trinity. As man, we are all three of these things together. And I think there are a lot of people walking around right now sicker than they think they are. And so, one of the things I want to speak out into the universe right now would just be, take a moment to be aware of how you feel. Think about how you feel physically, think about how you feel mentally, think about how you feel spiritually. And if there's any discomfort, if there's any unhappiness, if there's any unfulfillment when you're looking inward and you're meditating and looking at those places, this is where it's important to, whether you're a man or a woman, to take that masculine energy and make a decision and say, this is something I am going to change. Because that is exactly what it is. It's something that you can change. Your fitness is within your own hands. One of the great things I remember when I first started learning about Stoic philosophy, and this was probably in 2019 or 2020, and I remember Ryan Holiday being one of the guys that came across YouTube, and so much of these philosophies, we're going to talk a lot about Stoicism, and the Stoic philosophies are really foundational for being able to focus on the right thing and
Yeah.
move towards your purpose and a lot of that stuff. And I remember one of the things that they said about self-discipline and being strict and self-discipline is that you're supposed to be tolerant of others and strict with yourself.
Mm.
And I felt like, if nothing else, if there's not one statement you could take and apply to your life and you be a happier person, that'll be it. Be strict with yourself. Focus on what you can do to make your fitness, your body, your mind, your soul happier, and let it end with that, right?
Oh yeah, I love that. I love discipline, and I love that. For me, it's the self love is self discipline, and I love the point that you mentioned about be tolerant of others and be strict with yourself. And going back into the fitness aspect of that, telling yourself whatever it is, again, just telling yourself that you're going to get your workout in today, right? And then while you're working out, so yeah, we could talk about within the workout, but knowing that you have to have sound fundamental technique in order to work the areas of the body that you wish to improve, which should be all parts of your body, right? So fitness in that space, I'm very strict on things that I want to accomplish, and strict on things that I'm eating, and just knowing certain things and how they're going to affect my body, and just the way that that's sculpted, and just how that translates into just even the discipline of our conversation, of just knowing that we don't have to sit here and talk about what was on E Network the other day, and
Yeah.
if you did sneak a Keeping Up with the Kardashian episode, we can absolutely talk about that for sure, bro. Because I do watch me an episode or two here, but that's not the center of my focus for sure. But nonetheless, man, I always want to. I love the loop, my brother. I love the loop.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with entertainment either, you know? There's you cannot just live, eat, drink, and sleep your purpose all the time, right? There has to be some amount of recreation and fun in life, right? But
Right.
but for the purpose of what we're talking about, I think that one of the interesting things that we talked about offline was how you incorporate these things into your life, that you shouldn't think about your fitness or the things that you eat as a diet. We talked about that word, and I think that the more you can incorporate these ideas and make it a fulfilling part of your journey, make it a part of your identity, that's where it becomes powerful, when it becomes a habit. And I can tell you, we're gonna cover the spectrum of things today, but food, what you eat, what you put into your body, should be the number one focus. It's much more important, I think, than, I mean, lifting weights and exercising is important, but you're not going to get there without the correct diet. And the correct
Right.
diet, I think, is probably the most important foundational piece. We talked about some of these new things, mushroom coffee, and the idea of adding lion's mane and this to your diet. This is something that I haven't done, but I'm anticipating I'm going to be starting here very soon. And it's just a part of wanting to increase the mental focus and capacity, right, in order to be able to conquer and win every day. I've learned that drinking stinging nettle tea is the best thing for me. It completely eliminates any allergies in my system. It clears up my skin, it lowers my blood pressure. It really, there's a lot that you can find in the natural foods that you eat. Having a smoothie at the right time, or not eating for a prolonged period of time, and then consuming a lot of protein, so that you're not hungry again for another long period of time. There's a lot that I think goes into it, and it's going to be different for each person, exactly what that looks like. But the trick is not to try to copy anybody else either. You don't need to copy the food that I eat in order to get fit. You just need to remove the poisons from your diet.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely that. There's a interview that Kanye West has, and you can fight me in the comments about Kanye West. Don't care. He made a comment about a diet and said that it's not about the diet. Say the word diet. It's like you're killing a part of yourself. Look at it as more of a living. And at that point, and you're tricking your body in a way, for lack of better words, when you say live it versus diet, because with a diet, you're telling your body that you're cutting things, you're getting rid of things to, you just it just has a negative connotation to it versus a live it where your body now feels or gets a signal of my body's being nourished, it's being nurtured, it's I'm fine, I'm going to be able to give you the functions that were meant to be put to use, for you, you for your flesh. So I like that connotation. I think in fitness, and I know me especially, just being a young teenager and being involved in four sports, I always, I think by design, just compared myself to other athletes and how they were built. And I played defensive line at 170 pounds, and I did really well. I did really well. And that to me was a moment where I knew that I didn't have to be the biggest guy. I just had to be quicker than these guys, right?
Mhm.
And use my techniques and leverage these guys because I always I had the mentality that I was always going to be a half step quicker than them just because of my size. So it's that mentality too, and using your body at its strength. And I think at the core of all of it, no matter what type of training you're doing, there's always got to be a balance, a core balance, because your core is the fundamental root of everything. And I speak on that in a duality sense. In workouts, it helps you make sure that you're structured in your technique and what you're doing, again, to get the maximum impact out of your workout. And the other core of that in life of just having your mind in a good clarity retainment to see everything as a whole. It all ties in together.
Everything definitely ties in together. I mean, and your fitness, I think, also ties in with the relationships in your life and your business, your career, your walk with God. There's so much, and we talked today about why we need to be fit too. I mean, I think for each person also it depends. It depends on if you're a kid, it depends on if you're a woman, it depends on if you're a man. At our age and our gender in this country is a human. I think it's imperative for us to not only be physically fit, but to be capable of great violence if necessary. And so that could mean taking a karate class. It could mean going to the gun range. It could mean, it's fitness is not just for being sexy. I mean, that's a great like side benefit, right? But physical fitness is so that we can live longer and protect those around us if and when the need arises, right? It's important as men to be fit enough to deter danger.
Yeah, man. And any kind of class, or just if you want to do something at home, whether it be boxing lessons or jujitsu or grappling or whatever, all of those scenarios, and that is definitely building in your masculine energy. It's just being logical in the scene, but just being prepared, which is also one of my mantras: prepared and protected.
Exactly. You're not that's there's the sort of the two things that always drive a lot of the ideas behind what I think about things. And one of those is Stoic philosophy, and the others is libertarian philosophy. And so that's where the not going out there to look for a fight kind of is really core in how I believe about things. Is it you need to be capable. You don't need to act tough. Fitness is about actually being tough, but acting should never be a part of it. What you're doing.
Yeah, and I believe that there is one of the rules in the 48 Laws of Power is never showing your next move. And if that is your forefront of expression, then you're showing a move of aggression at that point. And being calm, cool, and collected. And again, it's not even, looking. Everything is cool. Yeah, and there is no problem because there's no problem within me. And if there
Mhm.
are those immediate threats of whatever and it compromises that, then I have the ability to think rationally and logically on how to approach the situation, aka fight or flight. If I'm near an exit, I'm gonna go for the exit. If I'm with my family, then that's obviously, a scenario that I need to recognize as well. Me solo, another scenario. But
Yeah.
all of those things being said, I'm one of those people, Dunamis, and I'm sure you are too. That just some of the fields that I was involved in when I was growing up and college for field experience, I had to be very vigilant, and even to the point now where even where I sit is very in a vigilant spot where I'm able to observe my surroundings and see things and have these little quick scenarios in my head of like, all right, so this happens, and yeah, this and all that. This is a nice plate smack over somebody's head. All right, perfect. All of that, and yeah, and it helps with my reflexes too, man. I'm not sure. Like, I feel like my reflexes are a lot more on point, man. Like certain things are about to fall, and like in like all these zeptoseconds, I'm like, okay, yeah, it's about to fall, just like this and that, and then it's gonna go this way, and I'm gonna be able to pop it up with my foot, and then I'm gonna catch it right on time with my hand. And I've had that happen a lot, y'all. For real,
Mhm.
this is not just some things that I'm making up. And every time I do something like super quick, I'm like, yeah. Oh man, it's super cool. But that even in fitness though, and just how I train, I train more in a calisthenics way, where I do a lot of body weight exercises, and a lot of mine is full body exercises, and all of them involve my core. I do a lot of balance, meditation, of course, towards the end of the workout is always the thing to do for me. I'm now working on a workout where they are doing the leg swings, where you're doing a full leg swing around the body. And I was just watching some videos on some how tos, and I'm gonna pull my yoga mat out here, and I'm gonna give it a go here, and hopefully have some content for you guys soon on the results of that. But yeah, that again, that's for me. And I used to be very agile. Well, I don't want to say used to be. I am still very agile. Tumbling, I guess, was what I'm saying, and very much do a backflip off of a tree, back tucks, back, fulls and front tucks, and cartwheels and all sorts of different things, man. So I was very much just a jumpy kid growing up, and that was something that I always wanted to have within me for lengths of time, to just be able to have that type of mobility, in in just in any circumstance scenario, just always ready. I am a soldier of the Lord.
That's great. I'm just visualizing you doing backflips off a tree, man. Like I, I, uh, I was always built more like a running back. Like I could maybe give you a quick juke cut, but that was about my agility. I was never very dexterous, but I would probably be more likely to even being kind of a shorter, stocky guy. I'd be more likely to run up straight to the line than try to dance around it.
Hey, man, you gotta do what you gotta do. It's
Yeah.
funny that you mentioned that. Yeah, in sports, in football specifically, you would have thought that with that type of agility that it would be utilized a little bit more. I was fullback at again 170 pounds, and I was very much told by my coach to go north and south. Don't do any of that freaking jiggy shit, and just go hit that person and get my half back to the first down mark. And we were very much a run and gun type of team. We did a lot of jet sweeps. We did a lot of dives, and a lot of outside zone. So we were utilized a lot in that space. It was very mechanical on my instructions on how to run to, I suppose, maximize my strength. And then with wrestling, it was the opposite, where you had to be more limber, and you had to be a little bit more outside of the space, because you're leveraging your body and leveraging someone else's body. And then track, of course, that was the mechanicals of that was just the lean, man. When you got with the lean, then you were really able to perform that aerodynamic type of that run where you were able to just break past where you were gliding.
Mhm.
I was a mascot for our summer league baseball team. I was Louis the Loco, and I would do backflips off of the dugout and the shortstop. I would, or off of the fence, I should say, and used to do like 20 of them in a row. And I was also a mascot for our basketball team. Man, I did a lot of stuff back in the day, man. And
Damn, that's all a lot more athletic. I was an ROTC, so
that's
I
badass.
but I back in the day though, in the 80s and 90s, we had a gun range on our school.
Man,
So I had a
that's so
rifle
cool.
range I got to go play around. So there we go.
All the kids with the
Yeah.
pumped up
But
kids.
yeah, and we don't get me wrong, we had physical fitness too. We did push-ups and all that. But yeah, I didn't mess around with the football guys. I was smoking weed in the business wing, you know what I'm saying? So,
Hey, that part. And just with your suit and tie, sir, using your brains.
yes, using my
Yo,
brains.
I want to say this too because I felt like because we're a few years apart, right? And
Oh yeah.
I felt like your generation of athletes were just built so different than even our generation of athletes. And those guys, man, they were just very brawn. They were very brawn and very just bulk. And man, they hit different. I feel like.
There was a whole when you look at pictures of kids in the 80s and 90s, just in general, it's jaw-dropping, eye-opening to me now. If you don't have the obesity that you have today, you don't have so much of what it was completely different. You're right, kids were built differently. And when I was in high school, man, those high school boys were full grown men. You know what I'm saying? There were some of
Right.
them would take down a teacher in a fight. So um,
That had a lot, 1,000% to do with how people were grown. And I felt like, and this could be the conspiracy in me coming out that, people started to see, whoa, these guys are getting too big and we need to slim them out a little bit. We need to kind of we need to cut the population a little bit here and put some, and then make it like, oh, well, now it's 30% more or less or this and that or 65% less fat. And it's like, okay, well, what are you putting in there that's making it less fatty? Because that's even when I think about diet pop and you think about aspartame and you think about all that stuff that makes it diet and what it actually does to your body over time. And just the underground pathology study of human beings over time. But I digress. I'm sorry. I definitely jumped down a huge rabbit hole there.
no, I'm glad you did, and you actually fired me up a little bit to not digress. And I'm just gonna say that uh, I'm just gonna say that, like, yeah, we've talked about it. If you really want to go down this rabbit hole, Fight for Farming was one where we hit on some of this. But the American Heart Association was founded. A very large amount of grant money came in from companies like that were behind Crisco, Nabisco, and a lot of these companies that were
Mm,
behind seed oils and cotton
yeah.
seed oils and processed foods. They basically funded the American Heart Association, gave them enough money to go out and create studies that quote unquote showed that heart disease was caused by eating all of the traditional foods that humans have eaten for thousands of years, and that being animal based fats and butter and milk and meat and all of these things. And you should replace it with cotton, hear that again, cotton based oils or corn based oils that are expressed and had been traditionally used as engine lubricants. But since World War II was over, World War I and World War II, we didn't need that anymore. We could go ahead and start feeding this stuff to humans. This is why, in the last 20 years, the health of humans has gone from being bad when I was young to being abysmal now. So bad that now you can look back at the bad health we had when I was a kid and we look like supermen.
Oh my gosh, indeed, man. And I'm sure a lot of this stuff now is linked to allergies and goes back into the pharmaceuticals. And now you're looking at medicines that we're taking, and then it all just becomes again a pathology, study of what these medicines do over time, and of course they outline the side effects. And when you look at the side effects versus what it's actually supposed to do, is it worth taking it? And I know that we got to throw an episode in there. Fight for holistic medicine, I think, would be a good one for us to jump into at some point down, because we're not close to being done, y'all. And
No, we're not even onto 3 digits yet.
no, not at all. Not even close, man. I can't wait till we get to episode 1,000. Sheesh. But just, all of that stuff too. And now it seems to be taboo now. And what I am liking about this age and this time is the want to get back into these approaches. So I'm glad that humans are going back into the roots. I am seeing a lot of that more. So it's not like it's a silent fight. It's definitely being you're starting to see it through the masses.
What we've just talked about is the food. We've talked about the food that you eat, and we've talked about the pharmaceuticals. We haven't even started to talk about things like the creams that you put on your skin, the sunscreens.
Mm.
We have not talked
Lotions,
about we
face
have not talked
creams.
about even the polyester in the bands in your underwear that
Right.
are next to your reproductive organs, that put microplastics that soak through your skin. There's anything that you put on your skin or in your mouth or in your nose or in your hair or on your body, even the water that you shower in soaks through the pores in your skin and into your blood. And as
Right.
soon as we kind of comprehend that our environment becomes us, it it's all of the toxins. It's not just the food. We've been poisoned from the inside out for years, our entire life. Women get poisoned from the makeup that they wear. There is just so much poison around us that we need to start removing. And I think that if we start there, then we start to see the negative side effects slowly start to go away. There's going to be less mental illness. There's going to be less apathy and laziness and all of these things that are negative in our life. I think a lot of it does start with our diet. And if we can fix our diet, like I said, I want the mushroom coffee, man. I want to be able to have that energy to get up in the morning and hit the weights, and take my walk and do those things. And so some of it includes cutting alcohol out of my life. It's a big part of not just what it has been in my life, but my family history, heritage, kind of this social event thing that's very ingrained in my family's culture. And we don't have really alcoholics so much that it's a problem in that sense, but just seeing that as a potential, like another negative thing that brings my energy down. So I think that we can all look at our fitness. The more that you're aware of it, and this is where I'm not going to try and convince you to change your life, right? It's not my job. But what I can say is, if we can sit down in quiet and be aware of how we feel. Do you feel sick? Do you feel lonely? Do you feel anxious? If you feel one of those things, then like I'm not even going to suggest that you should go to therapy. I'm just saying that, like, everything that you need is inside of you. God is inside of you. There's a moment now where we need to be aware of how sick we really are so that we can fix the problem.
100%. There's also some things that I'd seen online of like some alternative like drinking stuff. Not like old
Okay.
duels, but algorithm,
Like
YouTube algorithm.
like non-alcoholic?
Yeah, non-alcoholic, but it still gives you that same like fuzzy feeling.
Okay.
But it's with more natural ingredients, and I'll have to look into it a little bit more. I don't know or remember the name of it exactly. I'm sure it'll probably pop up as soon as we're done with our podcast, and I'll be able to screenshot it and send it to you, because
Yeah.
that's usually how that works.
Absolutely. And the looking into alternatives, I think, is a big important part of this whole discussion, because whatever that, and maybe that's not the secret for me, right? But I think that I have had more success when I have replaced a bad habit in my life with a good habit. That just takes up your time. So if you can introduce a good habit, you let that push the bad habits out of the way.
Journaling is something that I like to do a lot. Or just sitting outside. That's what I love the most about being down here in Mississippi. I sit out the front porch for hours, man, hours. And, that takes away from, okay, I'm just on my phone going through whatever, reels. And even if I am scrolling through reels out here, it's pointless stuff. It's mainly DIYs or gardenings or um, spiritual stoicism, all sorts of different things, man. Out here, you just enjoy and it's slow. I just appreciate slow days. I do much more than I did as a kid because I couldn't wait for school to be over. But looking at that now, my mind was being programmed to just let time fly. And then you look back at it
Yeah,
and you're like, man, where did time fly? And then you look at it now. You're 33 years old and you're like, man, where did time fly?
it's crazy. And, so many people have been talking too about, and I have felt this for a long time, that this sense that time is speeding up. I've heard it explained in a couple of different ways. And so I think the scientific explanation that satisfied me the most was the idea that our brains, as we get older, we're taking these snapshots of memories, and we're sort of taking less of them and keeping less of them. And so to us, as you get older, it just feels like time is speeding up. I don't know if that's true, but I definitely get a sense that time is speeding up. It's incredible that we're already at the end of May of 2025, man. You know, um,
Yeah.
we're we're basically we're getting really close to being halfway through the year already,
I
and
know it's
it
beautiful.
just
So,
I do
dude,
sometimes feel like I'm hanging on, like I'm on a roller coaster and I'm just kind of hanging on as the thing just keeps going. But yeah, man, life just keeps going.
keeps going up so high, man. And it's a roller coaster, and you just tick, 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 and it just keeps in there. It just starts to roll, does its variables, does its twists, and you're just there. You're just there. I had a real with real, literally, it was real. I had an in-depth conversation with a guy I went to high school with who had similar scenarios in his mind, and and I apologize, audience, if it gets a little dark, I guess, but just that whole thought of living to die, and just the whole thought of knowing that you're alive, but at some point you're gonna go, and just in what you do during that period of time and how you invest your time is you don't realize how critical it is until you get to a point where that's all you have is time to just think about everything that you didn't do. And, that's not to say that you need to be impulsive and go spend all the money in your account and go on all these crazy luxurious things, but just being able to be grateful for the times that you do have here, because every second is very valuable, and every second is the next step to your next move. And these past few months in the beginning have been very productive, and with a lot of productive conversations. And again, going back to having a good community of people to speak with every week, we're here with you guys, and we're talking about various different things. And this is a routine of my life, and I get really excited to do this every week to cover these things and talk with you guys, Dunamis and I. And it's really it's an honor, truthfully, just because a lot of people don't have the platforms to talk about these things, and we want to be able to create these platforms so then not only are people able to listen, but they're also empowered to do these things on their own, and give these equations, and be practical, as we had mentioned in our last episode, you're talking more about the practicality of these things. It's all possible. Everything is possible. You just have to have a plan, and know how to execute your plan. And the cool thing about it is the way to execute your plan is just doing it. And it's the easiest thing.
Yeah, and this whole thing for me has been absolutely constructive. I want to say that the fact that we're able to talk through a lot of these things, and if if you don't have a podcast, you definitely should have some friends of the same sex that you can talk to and share things that you're sort of talking through. I know it sounds weird, but I just met someone and she was asking if I had recently gone through therapy. and, and I've talked about how I feel at times like like that's what this is for me. But yeah, man, it's this is a part of my fitness, and I think, it's becoming, hopefully for our audience, this can be a part of your weekly fitness regimen, is to listen to what's going on with the fight cast and what we're talking about. Right now we're talking about how there are a lot of people struggling in this country, men and women, and I think it's because they're sick and they're weak, and it could be physically, it could be mentally, it could be spiritually, but there's so many people out there right now that are hurting, that really the answer is as simple as eat better food, move around some more, meditate, love yourself. These are all things that we've spent time touching on a lot, and it's all starting to come together for me. But this, talking to you every week, just like you were saying, I mean, being able to sit down and have these conversations is a big part of why these things are changing in my life. They wouldn't be changing in my life if I wasn't looking at the things that I didn't like and discussed and saying, I need to change this.
Right. 100%. It's a reflection. I feel like I'm talking into a mirror each week. It's really cool. It's really cool, man. The progress is real, and everything that we're doing is real. It's great, and we're servicing the people in so many more ways than one, and really help them. I feel like nourish flesh, and even in biblical terms, because in the Bible it talks about flesh, and it also talks about its duality. When you talk about our flesh, and within our body, you're talking about the tissues and the tendons and things like that that keep us, keep us, I guess our form, our matter, and
Mhm.
the immunizations that we build with that, and then also the flesh of just within us in a spirituality sense too, of how we feel at the core of our being. Are we who we say we are, with no imposter syndrome, and putting all of
Mhm.
those things together? Because if your mind is feeding your thoughts poison, and it's all going to attract and matter and spiritually and vice versa. So it's very key, again, to keep talking to yourself nice, and the voice that's telling you the right things is the one that's talking to you nice. The one that's telling you the mean things is the one that it's that impulse. It's that other side, the self destruction. Um, I was watching an interview. Well,
Yeah.
it wasn't an interview, but just as being a creative, I was there was a quote by Tyler, the Creator, where it says, when you're creative, you got to be a bit delusional. Um, and I listened to it a little bit, and it makes sense because as an artist and as a creator, we're not always understood at the moment,
Mhm.
and I don't think it's really about being understood. I think it's just about being able to paint that picture for an artist, and it being open for interpretation. And the artist can have their ultimate meaning, but everything has different meaning to different people.
Oh yeah.
But just being around people that like support that delusion, I guess, enable it. And again, look at this in positive connotation, not negative
Yeah.
connotation, but just in that realm of you and I starting this podcast and taking a risk and saying this is how we both feel. So why don't we talk to other people about it? Yeah, absolutely. That sounds great. Now, let's say you talk to somebody who's not in that area, it then becomes a, oh, everybody has a podcast, man. Oh, Joe Rogan's already talking about that, dude. I mean, what makes you different than them? I mean, shoot, I'm just not talking at all. It's like, that's all a conspiracy theorist anyway, dude. You sound like one of them now. And now you have that doubt in your head,
Yeah.
and now you're in that loop of just always being hesitant because you don't want to be outside of that box, want to adapt to your community. And all of that leads to complacency and confusion and a whole, right? But just having people that understand that it's deeper than the individual itself, because all of this is we're responding to the world around us, nature, the birds, the the grass, the roots. We're transmitting energy into the ground, and we're bringing these things to us. That's really important. We attract the things, we attract what we put out. It's very key core.
Amen. Amen. Yeah. There's everything that we've done so far has, if nothing else, come from a place of sincerity. And I think that's why I like it. I don't, in, I can't say that it's successful yet, even what we're doing, because we don't necessarily have the audience, the size of the audience that we maybe feel like we should have. But that's the cool thing about this is it doesn't matter. We talk about fruit, right? You know,
Right.
going back to that from the beginning, that's a byproduct that will come. That all happens because the apple tree was an apple tree. And so if we can be genuine, if you can, and to speak to the audience directly now, you may not be a podcaster, right? You may not be a rapper. You may not be somebody who wants to start a homestead, but there is something unique and special about you. And so you need to embrace the unique aspect of yourself. Embrace your fitness, your physical, your mental, your spiritual fitness, and go forward boldly and do what it is you're meant to do. And absolutely, you're going to attract the people around you that will help you to carry out that mission without the imposter syndrome. Because none of us know what we're doing. We're all making it up as we go.
Yeah, we are. We are. It's a beautiful thing because we're the author of our own script. And, I believe in destiny too, because I feel like, there is an equation to all of this. And being you are what you attract, it's inevitable, destiny. Um, but, the free thought that we have, that's on us for sure. And the destiny of just knowing that we always have options, simplify that bad boy. Yeah, to simplify that. That's we cut out the complexities, and I can even roll off of that and go as far as saying cutting out the complexities of our life. We can cut out the complex carbs, cut out the things that don't nourish our bodies. All of that ties into it. The complexities of our mind, the complexities of what our bodies have to break down in order to absorb nutrients. All of that. You have to get right back down to its root. The root of the ingredient, the root of your core, the root of your being. It's all tied together, and that, my friends, is the karma loop.
Even the root of the problem, because I just had a really long conversation recently with someone about breaking problems down. So everything in life, man, you take a complex problem, you cannot solve a complex problem. A complex problem cannot be solved by its very nature. You have to take that complex problem and break it down into its constituent parts and solve each of the parts of the problem in order to get the full solution. So it's everything in life has to be broken down into its simplest form. And that's part of why we had to start this podcast, the first 24 episodes, with things as simple as fight for money and fight for food and fight for respect. Because if you don't have these basic things, we can't talk about anything else. Like if we're saying money and we're talking about gold and silver, and you're thinking that we're talking about the pieces of paper that come from the United States government, we're not talking about the same things, right? We have to have the language. We have to have a ubiquitous glossary where when I use a word, as precise as that word is, that we all are on the same page. And that took time. We had to set that up and establish that, but we did. And it's great, man, because now, go ahead.
No, I want to give Dunamis crap real quick. And offline we were talking about words, and he's like, you're gonna have to bear with me here. You know how I am with words, and he just said ubiquitous, and I think he's doing just fine.
I love that. It's one of my favorite words, man. It means it's everywhere. It's something that everybody knows and understands. It's so common. It's in fact, just to even go back into that word right there, that in domain driven design and programming, we have something called ubiquitous language. And that is the glossary of terms that you use when you're talking to the business. So if I'm a developer, I'm not using all of these nerdy developer terms that people don't understand. The business says something like accounting, and I, as a developer, should also use that same word, accounting. And when we say accounting, we're both talking about the same thing. So all of this sounds really basic and elementary, but when you're programming, you actually have to really break down and define what the words mean before you can even start having conversations. And that's really what we did in this podcast. We had to break down what are all these words, and now going forward, we're saying, all right, now that we understand what all of these things mean, what does it mean to be a man with fight? What does it mean to have a purpose and to go forward practically? And we've had one episode where we said you need to be making more money than you're spending, and you need to be putting the difference into something like silver or gold or an investment. And in this episode, we're saying you have so much energy and attention and focus throughout the day, in addition to doing your job and anything else that you might do. What you might want to add to it is some sit-ups, and you might want to maybe consider eating an extra couple of eggs in the morning, to get that protein. But it's going to look different for each person.
Absolutely, bro. It is. It absolutely is. And I really hope that, as esoteric as this was, and I know that I feel like we balance the esotericism with the practicality of it. And, I really hope that this um, helped you see a little bit more in depth of what fitness really means, honestly, because it's more than just your body strength. It's just about it's just more about your mental strength as it is about your body strength too, and both of those tying together. And just having that mentality of knowing that it's a part of your routine, and your body will thank you. Your body was meant for movement. Your
Oh, yeah.
body was meant to function. That's what a body is for. It's your matter. We talk, right? That's a muscle. So just exercising your words, or exercising your jaw. There are jaw exercises as well. There's an exercise for everything, guys. It really is for everything. And there's a lot of body exercises too, where, if finances could be maybe a bit of a deficit at the moment, then just know that you don't need weights, or you don't need the big weights. I know Dunamis and I were talking offline about the 15-pound weights, and I actually think that that's a great weight too. And that's one of the main weights that a lot of the body exercise people will use with some of their stuff when they want to mix in and give us a different look of certain things. And you don't need a whole lot of weight. Again, your body weight is they say your body weight is enough. And
Mhm.
when you know how to really leverage your body, then lifting weights is 10 times easier, just because where, things need to be in order to push the weight up, and, where your core needs to be to stay tight and get those reps in, and get, maximize that exercise. So I think that, just starting there, but if you're in the weight room, then, absolutely go after it, and just, again, know, just work the groups that you want to work. Don't strain yourself, and stay tight, man. Stay tight. I guess if we're talking about the physical aspect of fitness, your core, your abs are a big part keeping you protected. Because a lot of times when people get hurt in the gym, a lot of that is because of a loose, they lost
Mhm.
center, and now they have to another scenario that they have to deal with. But the tighter your core, the more precise your movements are going to be in the gym. And I learned that a lot in football, and we actually did yoga as a part of our workout. One day out of the week, we had a lady come in, and we'd go outside and we'd do yoga, and we also did yoga during track season as well. So I felt like our program was definitely a bit ahead of the game. When it came to certain things like that. And it was pretty, we took our yoga instructor on to football, and we showed the team that we were doing yoga, and then we ended up blowing them out like 65, and it was incredible. I love it. These guys did yoga before the fall game and then just came out here and just limbered their way through the loop. It was incredible. But again, all of those things it ties back into like to the community episode that we were talking about, and just that was something that was introduced to me in my community, and something that was a part of our regular routine. So now those things are embedded in me to want to continue to do those things, because those things made me had that mentality at a young age where I was free to be able to roam around outside, jump on the trampoline, be able to be as acrobatic as I wanted to be, run with my dogs, skateboard, rollerblade, bikes. Dude, I did a lot. And then a lot of those things have shaped me to be the person that I am today, because I still want to skateboard. I still love yoga. I love to work out. I want to eat good. I want to look good. I want to feel good. My face is pretty. I want to keep it pretty. There's just there's a lot that goes in it. Yeah, and I don't want to say there's a lot that goes into that, but it's just knowing who you want to be. I talked a lot about me, bro. I'm sorry.
No, this is great. We're talking about your individual fitness, and has been a great week. I can't wait to get into what we're going to be talking about next week, because this is going to be the next week. We're going to talk about a piece that's going to take your resilience to a level beyond what you think is possible. And next week, we're going to fight for solitude.
Hey.
So that will be an interesting one. And as a bit of an introvert myself, I can say I'm looking forward to it, and it'll be a good one to talk about. But jump into our Discord, into Fight Night if you get the chance. And if you've made it to the end, drop a lungs emoji down in the comments, of course. So
like it.
Yeah. Feeling good, living long. And Is a Human, it's been great, man. I can't wait to do it next week.
Yes, sir. Look forward to it. Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure, man. Never give up the fight.
Never give up the fight.
You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. Looking for change, looking for pain, pulling a mob, pushing a train. I'll never stop, stick to a lane, pick up the pieces and go rearrange. I'll be the best above all the rest, put me to the test, expect nothing less, your check is I'm chess, what's happening next, yeah. He got the venom, a tangible weapon, no coming in second. This life is a lesson, he got a new engine from pain, it's a blessing. New focus, no guessing, just bold and obsession, all in his possession. You got their attention, I'll leave an impression and take your redemption. Just kill, no discretion, your mind is a weapon. 11-11, it's time for progression, You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep when they scheming. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they try the chains, you can say no, free me. So he's been looking for somebody who could save him, instead of searching inside for what they gave him. A strong will, strong mind causes mayhem. We could change the world, change times, rearrange them. Staying on pace, running the race. Life is a chase, I don't want a place, I wanna be first. Work till it hurts, dehydrated thirst till I'm in a hearse. High ambitions in the right mind can take you so far. It's like you lived a few lifetimes. Take off, I'ma break off from the weak minds. They can stay soft, you can change lives, you create thoughts. Never waste time, you got one shot, you got one life. Better pop off, what do you like? Make a dream job, no 9-5, no mean boss. Just my life and free thoughts. You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep when they scheming. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they try the chains,